When we're working on a boudoir maternity photo session, we want to keep it elegant, simple, and easy for our subject. We don't want to go for poses that are not comfortable or that may hurt our subject. So keep it very simple, be very careful where you're working with a pregnant woman. Don't overwhelm her with a variety of poses or complicated poses, and make her rest when it's needed. So when it comes to posing for maternity boudoir photo session, we apply the same fundamental rules of posing to every pose that we're working on. We are looking for triangles, we're creating triangles, and we want to accentuate the curves. And the curves that we're looking for are the curves of the breast. If you can stand sideways, please, yes. So we're looking for the curves of the breast area, the belly, the area of the arch of the back, and the bottom. So we want to create triangles when we're posing the pregnant woman for a maternity photo session. And to do that, we want to bend our knee, or we want to bend our elbows, or to bend the wrist. So we can also take advantage of natural triangle of a female's body. For example, if she crosses her legs, we can create 2 or 3 triangles by just crossing legs. Or if we bend the wrist, we can create another triangle. If we are positioning our subject sideways, we can see the triangle of the neck and the chin. So what we're looking for is, curves. We have to accentuate the curves, we have to show the curves in each pose that we're working on, and we have to create triangles to make each pose look dynamic, look interesting. So we're going to start from standing poses first. When it comes to standing poses, there are only 3 ways we can position our subject. The first way is the subject facing the camera. Second way is the subject is 45 degrees to the camera. And the third way is 90 degrees or sideways to the camera when we're photographing the profile of our subject. So now we're going to start from posing legs. The very basic pose that can be applied to every single pose when you're working on a maternity boudoir photo session for standing poses is when one leg straight and one leg is bent. So let's bend our knee, cross it over, and push the hip to the side. And now let's see how it looks when you're switching. And let's bend this knee and cross it over, perfect, and push the hip to the side. So this way, when we're bending knee, we're creating a triangle and we're accentuating this curve of our subject's body, and it just looks really elegant, look really beautiful and dynamic. So what you have to remember is when you're, for this specific position of legs, you have to keep in mind the position of foot. One foot should touch another one, and she has to be on her tippy toes, just one foot. Yeah, perfect, and cross it over. This is one way of posing legs, specifically posing feet. Now, another way of positioning feet in this pose would be moving this foot, slightly crossing it, and moving it forward right here. So that would be another way of positioning feet in pose number 1. Okay, so bring it back. The common mistake that many models, many women, they do is keeping the foot away from another one. So that's not, it looks okay, but it's not as flattering. So we want to bring this foot closer to another so they would touch each other, and cross the knee over all the way and push the hip to the side. So this specific position of legs can be applied to standing poses when your subject is facing the camera, 45 degrees to the camera. So let's show how it looks, 45 degrees. Perfect. And 90 degrees. All right. So that specific rule of positioning leg can be applied to all 3 angles when you're working with a pregnant woman for a boudoir maternity photo session. Keep in mind, when you're working with a bigger size pregnant woman, we want to, when we're working with this specific position, we want to keep our hips away from the camera. So let's just cross it over, position your foot on the tippy toes and push it away from the camera. So that's, we're pushing away from the camera to slim the hip of our subject. If we do it other way around, so let's push it towards the camera. Perfect. So this way we are accentuating the hip of our subject and we will just make it look bigger. And that would work if you're working with slimmer or petite pregnant women. So keep that in mind, it's very important. So now another way of positioning legs when your subject is standing would be crossing legs over, just cross them. And position, keep your weight on both of your legs, yeah, and on your tippy toes. Perfect. So that position would be, can be applied when your subject is 45 degrees to the camera or 90 degrees. Let's show how it looks. Let's do the same thing when you're 45 degrees. So keep your feet kind of on the same level. Let me show you. Like this. So there, your toes are going to face the same direction. Perfect. And you can just position your arms the way you want. Perfect. So that's 45 degrees. And now let's face me. That's going to be 90 degrees and the same way. So keep in mind, when we are positioning our subject 90 degrees or sideways, we can also separate legs a little bit more. So step a little bit more forward. And this way we can see a more visual triangle that is created by her legs. And if that's something you're going for, then ask to separate legs a little bit or just keep them slightly away from each other. To go even further and be a little bit more creative, we can, with this specific position of the legs, we can go for a very dynamic type of pose when our subject is kind of in the motion. So she can step forward and create that type of look of her kind of moving forward on her tippy toes. So stay the same way, facing me, and just while you're crossing your legs, kind of shift your weight from one leg to another one, being on your tippy toes, kind of like this, okay? 1, 2, 3, perfect. And yeah, that would work when you're completely sideways. So let's try it again. And 1, 2, 3. Perfect. So that's another way of posing legs for standing poses when you're working with a pregnant woman on her boudoir maternity photo session. So now let's move to positioning arms and hands. By positioning arms and hands and keeping the same position of legs, you can make pose look completely different. And we're starting from really basic, really simple positions when one arm or one hand is on top of the belly and another one below the belly. So this is very simple, anybody can do that. It's a really cute. Position of legs is the same, one leg crossed over and the hip is to the side. Yeah, perfect. So this is one way of, very simple way of posing hands and arms for a boudoir maternity photo session. Now, we have to pay attention to position of our subject's hands. We want to keep our hands soft, very elegant. Her hands should express care and love. That's what we're going for. And to do that, we have to bend our wrist a little bit and bend our palm just a little bit and connect our thumb with our middle finger if we can. So this applies to the hand that is on top of the belly, of course. The pinky is going to be slightly facing the camera. So somewhere here. Perfect. Yeah, just like that. Just a little bit more separation, not exactly. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be like slightly. Perfect. So keep in mind when you're working with a pregnant woman, hands, very important element. We want to keep them soft, elegant, natural. So from here, we can bring hands all the way down, both of them. And that would be our second position. Let me take a look just to make sure Sadie is doing everything correctly. Perfect. From here, we can bring both of our hands up. Both of them. Okay, so that would be one way of positioning where the thumb is kind of like underneath the breast. Or if that's something is difficult for your subject to do, depending on the body type, the size of the arms, she can also just position softly, on her belly. That's perfect. Let me take a look. Let's do it again. Perfect. And you can also, when you're positioning it this way, you can bring your shoulders a little bit forward. Perfect. And that adds a little bit of that fashion or editorial look. If this is something that your subject can do, go for it. It looks absolutely beautiful. Now, another way of positioning arms would be keeping this hand on the top of the belly, and another one is on the waist, where the hip is. Perfect. Let me see how you position it. Perfect. So there are two ways of to position our hand. So one way would be just to, like a normal way, how we would position our hand on the waist. And another way is with the hand pointing down to the floor. So that would be the second way. Sadie, if you can mirror me, please. Position it just like this. And now with your hand going facing down. Okay, perfect. All right. So from here, we can bring our subject's hand all the way up to her head. A very important element is the position of her hand. So we don't want to put hand kind of with the palm touching the head. We want to do it other way around and keep our subject's fingers soft and nice and elegant. Okay. And now from here, we can bring our subject's hand closer to her neck. And let's just like put your hand around your neck. Yeah, perfect. Or another way to do it is to bring it kind of closer to your lip. Okay, perfect. So do it again, neck. And now lip. So from here, we can also ask our subject to bring it, can you bring it kind of closer to create triangle? Yeah. Let's say if she has long hair, you can ask her to brush her fingers through her hair and add a little bit of motion to that pose, and it will look absolutely gorgeous. Now from here, we will cross our arms, like slightly hugging yourself. Beautiful. That looks very soft, looks very elegant and very sensual. So now let's bring arms up and connecting them to the wrist. Yes. So depending on, again, body type of the subject you're photographing, you can either ask her to bring her arms even more up or lower closer to her head. Perfect. Bring it back. Beautiful. So these are the ways we're positioning our subject's arms and hands when our subject is facing the camera or 45 degrees. So when our subject slightly 45 degrees, we can apply the same flow and do absolutely the same position of arms and hands. So when our subject is 90 degrees, not all of those position of arms can be applied, unfortunately. So the main pose would be the pose that actually Sadie is in right now. So we want to make sure that this hand is not all the way here, so we can see, or we can have a little bit of separation here. Perfect. So the second way would be to bring this arm to the hip. Perfect. You can either do it like this. Beautiful. No, this one is relaxed. So what you have to pay attention to is position of her arm. So her elbow should go all the way in. Not everyone can hold it for too long or do it at all. So you have to count to 3, 1, 2, 3, hold it, and then arch your back, keep the elbow in, and go for a quick shot, and then ask her to relax. Another way to do that is, let's keep the hand down, perfect, right there, and bring the elbow in. Beautiful. So we have to create this triangle, we have to see the separation, negative space, to make that specific pose look flattering. From here, we can bring our arms over here. Perfect. And that would be another very soft and elegant way of positioning our hands when our subject 90 degrees to the camera. So let's bring now, position this hand on the belly, the other way. So this one is on the belly and this one over here. Perfect, with the elbow in. Beautiful. So again, if your subject has long hair, you can ask her to brush her hair with her fingers, and that will create some motion, some action to our shot. All right, so that's pretty much all the basic poses that we can go for when our subject is positioned 90 degrees. Okay, you can relax, Sadia. And now we're done with our standing poses. Let's talk about sitting poses. When working on sitting poses, we want to position our subject either facing the camera or sideways to the camera. Let's first face the camera, and there are two ways of doing that. Our subject is first going to face the camera, positioning her body on this side. So you're just on this side. You're just gonna sit on your thigh on the side, like sideways. No, let me show you really quick. So it's going to be this way and facing the camera, okay? So in this position, we can keep one leg straight, another one is bent. So bring this hand back to your belly, perfect. Bring your foot closer to your leg. And can you elevate your knee a little bit? And bring it closer to your leg. Okay, perfect, yeah, like that. So this is one of the ways, positioning your subject, leaning or sitting sideways on a tube, on a chair, posing box, whatever you have to work with. And her position by repositioning her arms, you can achieve slightly different type of pose. For example, we can go for all the positions of arms and hands that we just talked about, and apply it to this specific pose. For example, she can bring her hand closer to her head, or lower to her neck, and closer to her lip, or back to her belly, and down, holding her belly from the bottom. Okay. So all the positions that we talked about can be easily applied to achieve slightly different pose. Now from here, I'll ask her to sit on the posing tube. Sit completely with one leg tucked in and one is touching the ground. This is another way of posing a pregnant woman. It's not everybody can do that, but you can ask your subject and see if she's flexible enough or she's comfortable to do this type of pose. This looks very cute, very casual, and majority of my clients absolutely love this pose. So another way of posing our subject using a posing tube or apple box or a chair or a stool would be by positioning our subject sideways to the camera. So let's face me. Okay, sit on the edge of the posing tube, bring one leg in, perfect. And let's switch arms. So you're gonna, perfect, like this. And bring it lower and a little bit away. Beautiful. Okay, so this can be another sitting pose. And again, you can ask your subject to reposition her arms. So let's bring this arm, no, let's keep it as it was, but bring this arm maybe over here. So that would be one way, or you can bring it here and bring your elbow in, perfect. Or even bringing this all the way, yeah, beautiful. So as you can see, one simple pose, different position of arms, variety of poses. Now we're going to continue with some laying poses on the floor. So let's remove this tube, move it away. And Sadia, I want you to lay down on the side. So you're going to be kind of facing, you're going to be laying with your head this direction and legs that direction, okay? So on one straight line on your side. Okay, perfect. Okay, one of the very beautiful, elegant ways positioning your subject on the floor in a laying position is laying on the side. So when your subject is laying on the side, you can ask her either to position her hand on her belly, or you can bring this arm closer to, yeah, right there, touching the floor. And you can bring this arm all the way down, like all the way, like here. Perfect. So depending what pose you're going for, this type of position would work for a laying on the side pose. Now, when it comes to posing legs, the leg that is closer to the floor can be bent and another one completely straight, or we can switch and let's see how that looks. Just bring it closer, yeah, perfect. And so the knee would touch the floor. Or another way of posing legs would be when the leg that is closer to the surface is straight and another knee is bent. So, and bring this arm back too. Beautiful. So depending on the body type you're working with, you can try either one and see what works better for your subject. Now from here we can move to another pose, and that's going to be position of Sadia is going to be positioned on her back. So roll on your back. Perfect. Leg, yes, you can bend either one knee or both knees. Let's bend two knees and see how this looks. Beautiful. For this position, we can ask our subject to arch, and we're going to do that only for a second, okay? We're going to ask her to arch and then relax. Position of hands could be either, let's bring that arm closer to your head and bring your elbow up. Yeah, perfect. So it's kind of like this, right there, and bring it all the way, or like this. Yeah, perfect. Beautiful. Or, so this is one of the ways to do that, or we can bring this hand touching the wrist of this one, and that's going to be another way of doing it. So either way would work. And of course, we're asking to arch just for a second, photographing, and then asking to relax. Okay. All right, relax. I know it's a hard pose. Okay. Let me help you to get up. Very quick tip: when you're working on a laying positions, you can use a yoga mat. Put the yoga mat underneath the backdrop to help your subject to be comfortable on the floor. Otherwise, it's kind of really hard and uncomfortable. And to achieve one or another pose easier, create that comfortable environment for your subject so she would be willing to work on the poses you're going for. From here, we're going to move to some sitting poses on the floor. So since Sadia is already in this position, legs crossed, let's turn facing the camera. And that's going to be our first pose. This is very casual, very happy type of pose. So you can bring your arms here, or you can bring them kind of like, on your belly, positioning on the belly. And beautiful. So that would be our first pose. From here, we're gonna keep one leg still tucked in, and another knee, we wanna bring it up, kind of like this. Let's see if that would work perfectly. Yeah, perfect. All right, so that would be our second pose. And from here, we would move both of our legs to the side. And one is a little bit elevated, kind of like this. Yeah, drop your your foot a little bit. Beautiful. Okay, let me take a look how it looks from the side. That's gorgeous. Just bring this arm closer to your body, somewhere here, and your hand, yes, kind of like diagonal a little bit, 45 degrees. Beautiful. So, and that's another way to pose our subject when she is sitting on the floor. All right, let me help you to get up. Thank you so much, Sadia. You look gorgeous. Now we're gonna move to poses when we're working on implied nude maternity sessions. When we're working on implied nude photographs, the same posing rule applies. The only difference is going to be that one of your subject's arms is constantly going to be covering the breasts. So let's say if we're going for the basics, really simple pose with her hand on her belly, so the same position of legs, perfect. Yeah, beautiful. So keep in mind, just this hand and the arm is going to cover the breast and the nipples. From here, we can reposition her arm, and for example, we can bring it up to her head, to her neck, to her lip. She can cover with her breast with both of her arms. She can position this hand on her waist, how you did, with like more of an attitude. Perfect. That's beautiful. And the same rules would apply if your subject is 45 degrees or if your subject 90 degrees. The same rule would apply when you're working on sitting and laying positions. One quick tip when posing female for a maternity boudoir session, you want to ask her to lean slightly forward towards the camera. Another quick tip is asking your subject to keep her shoulders down to accentuate the beautiful line of her neck. So now we're done with the posing, we're moving to our lighting.